India, from a geopolitical and economic perspective, is actually an island nation. We do have land borders. One of them is with a friendly neighbor to our northwest, and the other long one is with a friendly neighbor to our northeast. Now, we do trade with China, but not with the bit that we have the land border with. So, effectively, that's from an economic perspective a sealed border, and of course, the one with Pakistan is also basically sealed. We do have some other land borders with small countries, but effectively, from a geopolitical and economic perspective, we are a island nation. If ever there was an economic, geopolitical, geostrategic incident, let me say that basically we will have to resupply ourselves from the sea. Now, there is a problem here in that because of our sea blindness, we have simply not invested in our maritime sector for generations. And the result of this is that today, 90% plus, almost 95% of our imports and exports are carried by foreign ships. 95%. After oil, shipping related costs, which is whether shipping, insurance, etc., which work out to be about $100 billion, is our second biggest imports after oil. So this is not a trivial thing. A country our size has only got 480 workable ocean-going ships. I'm not taking into account fishing trawlers and so on, but serious ships for carrying our exports and imports, only 480 of them. So, never mind global sanctions by major powers. If 3 or 4 major shipping lines decide they don't like us, our economy will be on its knees. So much so, I would consider it our single most important geostrategic risk. Which is a reason why you may have noticed, who read maritime shipping related stuff, that I have in the last couple of years made a lot of fuss about investing into ports, into shipbuilding in particular, and ownership and flagging of Indian ships. This is absolutely top of mind recall for the Honorable Prime Minister. And you may have seen in the recent budget, we have finally classified not just shipbuilding, but ships, large ships, as infrastructure, which will mean that we can finally get them long-term loans, 30-year type loans, which is necessary for buying large ships. We will also be investing, as you know, just north of here in a very large port at Vadhavan. And that port, when it opens in a few years' time, will be the single largest port India has ever built. It will be larger than all our current ports put together. And we want to build another very significant port on our eastern ports in the not too distant future. There are, as we speak, 4 major laws, bills which are making maritime related bills which are making their way through Parliament, which will also radically change ownership and flagging rules. There are 2 more in the pipeline relating to the SARFAESI Act and also the overall shipping related laws. So we will have, hopefully in 12 months' time, a completely radically changed legal ecosystem for our shipping industry. We will have done, we intend to create a lot of financing through a maritime fund so that money is not an issue. As I already said, we are making big changes in ownership, flagging, many other shipping related laws, policies and so on. And the idea is that we will move from our current position of insignificance in shipbuilding to becoming a major power. So just to tell you how insignificant we are today, 45% of all the ships today in the world are being built by one country, China. Then another 20% by Korea and about 25% by Japan. So those 3 combined produce 95% of the world's ships. We produce less than 0.5. And this is odd because actually we have every ingredient of being a major shipbuilding power. Of course, we have a long coastline, but we also have the technology. I mean, we are able to build nuclear subs. We are able to build probably the most difficult thing to build, which is an aircraft carrier. But for some reason, we don't build oil tankers, which are actually not very complicated to build. We have the steel. We have the young men, and shipbuilding is a young man's business. Basically, it is millions of hours of welding. And again, this is something that the Koreans and the Japanese simply cannot sustain because of their demographics. They don't have the young men. It's basically about climbing up and down and putting plates and welding them. That's what shipbuilding is about. Hours and hours of this. And we have the men, as I said, the technology, the steel, the coastline, the domestic demand for this. So the point I'm making here is, our aim is to make shipbuilding a major activity in the next 10 years, to become a third largest shipbuilding power in the next decade, which is a very big focus we have. And we will also try to do this in, of course, we have invested a lot in our Navy recently. As we may know, there are a lot of indigenous ships that have been commissioned recently. But there is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't do this for foreign countries and our allies. Many of them want ships, but frankly, there is no way countries like Australia can build the ships they need. And, we should think of ourselves as a country that produces at least the hulls for these countries, maybe even for America. Frankly, even America does not have the capabilities of building the hulls it needs. I mean, we can build the empty hulls, the shells, they can do whatever else where they want, put in the software, missiles, whatever they want. But frankly, we could be the supplier of all of these things. So, very big thing that we want to do.